Good evening, and thank you for joining us. A bit of a delay, a rain delay that is, as we've got the New York Gridlock getting ready to take on the Indy Red. I'm Harrison Silcox. Rochelle Frash on the call with me today. It's the second game of the day for both of these teams who were able to catch a little bit of a break in the rain. The Gridlock are coming off of a win against Columbus earlier, and the Indy Red fell to the Columbus Pride earlier today. We'll see how these two teams will fare in their second game of the day. Broadcast brought to you by Parker Mortgage Team. The rate you found on the internet is no better than a dead disc, and it's really only part of your mortgage equation. You need a go-to mortgage advisor to walk you through the process and paint the whole picture. Check out the Parker Mortgage Team in downtown Noblesville. We're basically your Vincent Van go-to. Also, Zen Lab. Did you know that the Indianapolis Red has a personal yoga teacher? It's Kristen, the founder of Zen Lab, and you can work with her too. Zen Lab has a dynamic selection of yoga styles and classes, all available online. Go to zenlabindy.com to learn more. Once again, I'm Harrison Silcox, Rochelle Frash with me this evening, and big kind of storyline ahead of this game was the rain that just rolled through here. We had some lightning in the area, so it's getting off here just under an hour and a half later than it was actually supposed to, as we've got the lights on. We've got some ultimate under the lights tonight, but Rochelle, how do you think the rain delay, the weather delay, is going to impact both these teams as they kind of had to go their separate ways, make sure they were in a safe, sheltered area? So to sit down and rest for a little bit, Gridlock just played a game against the Pride. The Red played one earlier, kind of a wrench thrown into the day a little bit. So how do you think that's going to impact both these teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit of a conundrum trying to figure out what you're going to do here in a bye. With the weather is still iffy, and the forecast for the rest of the night is still iffy. So it's, are we canceling? Are we continuing? Are we moving locations? And kind of how do you take care of your body in that time? Do you try and stay moving? Do you eat? Do you hydrate? I mean, obviously hydrate, but you're going to put what kind of food you're going to put in your body type of thing. So I think luckily it wasn't too long and enough. People were just able to sit and hopefully stretch. And I think it is going to be beneficial to Gridlock to be able to have a little bit more of a longer break in between their game. Again, Indy Red probably needed a little bit more warm-up time after not having played since this morning. But I think teams are out here right now and getting warmed up. So I think they'll be ready to go, and hopefully it'll be a pretty good game as they're pretty well rested and ready to just play for us. It'll be great.
Who do you think it favors more? If you're the Indy Red, you haven't played their game, wrapped up, I think it was around 12:30, 1 o'clock earlier today. So they haven't played since. They got a long break. If you're New York, they just played against the Pride, but they got a little bit of a longer break than what they thought that they were going to get in between games here. So you'd think that the Red, maybe they have a little bit more warming up to do with the amount of time between their game earlier today, and for New York, maybe their legs not quite fresh, but still, kind of, I mean, they're a little bit more loose having just played that game against Pride. Do you think that favors one team more than another?
I don't think so. I mean, I think really it almost feels like it evens out. I mean, you think about an Ultimate Frisbee tournament and the length of what a bye would be in between games. It's probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and so I think a lot of the Gridlock players know how to handle that lapse in time, and I think they'll still be fresh, and I think they still have the energy to go out. So I definitely think they will benefit. Red, obviously having much more time off, I think since their last game, I think will be ready to go. I think theirs will just be. It might just take them a little bit to come out firing, but I think they'll definitely get to that point because they're definitely more rested. So I think we'll kind of see as it plays out as the quarters go on. There might be some more favoring for one team over the other, but I think they're fairly evenly matched coming out of this weather. So
for the Indy Red, they just lost their first game on the season to the Pride earlier today. We saw them try to work a zone a little bit. We had some crosswind that game, and it was pretty windy as well during that Columbus Pride New York Gridlock game earlier. And the weather's probably changed a little bit since that storm has moved through. But the Red, obviously, postseason picture, and that's going to play an impact here in this game today. And so with them losing their first game, falling to 2-1, do you think that they're going to be a little bit more hungry to get another win, especially, getting to host two teams at home this weekend?
Yeah, I definitely think they're hungry to come out and get a win against Gridlock. I think it's definitely possible. Red came out really, really well and really strong against Pride. Pride kind of kicked it into high gear the second half of the game, so it'll just be really who can get that momentum and that energy going towards the beginning of the game to see who can get up. But yeah, so I definitely think it'll be good, and I think both teams are hungry. I think it's needed for both teams, but we'll kind of see what happens as it starts. I would expect Red. It's not very windy out here right now. I can't even see the flags moving, so it's pretty calm. And there wasn't much zone look from Pride against Gridlock, so I'm not really sure what we're kind of going to see from Red, if they might focus on more of a person defense. So we'll see. We'll adapt as the weather changes and if it starts raining or whatnot. But I think we'll see some different looks out here than what we've seen before.
Well, Gridlock are 1-1. They got their first win of the season against the Pride earlier today. As you see the flip there, as players will decide who's going to wind up with the Frisbee first and who's going to pull it originally. It's some good sportsmanship between the two teams. See a couple Gridlock players in there laughing as they try to sort things out at midfield. And, Rochelle, you were on the call for that New York game earlier today. And what did you see from that team that really stood out in your mind?
So Gridlock has a lot of experienced players and players that have played all across the country and around the world. So their depth of talent is pretty unreal, all things considered. And so we saw a lot of really good looks from them throughout the game, especially a lot of deep huck looks. And so I think we'll see more of that as the wind has died down, pending that they can get a good grip on the disc as it is now raining, it looks like. But yeah, so I think we'll see a lot of smooth offense from them. I think they're ready to go and kind of show off their stuff and try and get another victory under their belt.
Yeah, it is worth pointing out. We've got some rain coming down, and we'll see how that plays an impact on this game. The disc is going to be a little bit wet. Some players are going to opt for gloves. Some players aren't. And, it's just got to play an impact on how well can you catch the Frisbee and on those rotations on the throw. Or we might see some more turns. We might see some longer points. It'll be interesting to see which team can adapt to the weather best.
Yep. Yeah, and definitely see some people out there with gloves on. I think it's fairly standard in this weather. But, yeah, as much as they can keep the disc off the ground will be in their favor. So hopefully a little bit more patience, a little more disc control, just as the teams work across the field, and we'll see what they can keep up.
It looks like the Red, who are in their white jerseys, will pull to start. They'll get a final few thoughts from their head coach, Blake Vanderbush. And we will see if the Red can get a win and move to 3-1 on the season. The Gridlock will try to jump above 500. Quite the trek for them, coming out from New York here to just north of Indianapolis for some Premier Ultimate League action. I'm pleased to be able to get this game in tonight as well. It's an hour and a half, just about, after this game was originally supposed to start.
And I believe in order to have a completed final game as an AUDL, or not AUDL game, what sport are we watching right here? Same sport, different league. The PUL game needs to make it to half, so down to the 0 of the second quarter. So we're hoping to be able to get in the full game. We'll see. I think we got enough break in the storm, but it definitely might be a little bit messy out there.
Well, with the rain, it's still a good pull to start for the Red, and the Gridlock get the first possession of the day. We'll see what kind of defense Red will throw out, as Gridlock will quickly move it back upfield. Just quick movement here between the handlers. And a turn there to start. Red will get it right back. Mattamore throwing upfield. Thrown up ahead, and the first score of the day goes to Indy Red. Haley Banis gets the home team on the board. They lead by 1. you take a look here, a nice throw from Mattimore. And a nice catch from Banis gets the red on the board.
So quick point from red there. We're able to capitalize, get one on the board right away.
And what did you see there to start there from the red? We were wondering, we'd seen them throw zone in that Columbus game, but I mean they forced an early turn, able to get that break point. How do you think they were able to do that?
Yeah, I mean it's a good thing to be able to get right at the beginning of the game. It's definitely builds that momentum. I mean they came down on the zone defense and were able to get that drop, and if the disc is slippery, it's more likely that it will happen, and they were able to convert and get a score. So that definitely gives them a leg up on what could have even easily been a back and forth game.
This is Tulsa Douglas. Tangerlini had a look downfield. Instead, she gives it back to Douglas. And a player that hits the turf. Back to Tangerlini. Douglas again. Pass and catch. And up through that red defense. Crossing midfield. It's a solid start to the possession here for Gridlock. Kaplan works it around. Tangerlini breaks through that red defense again with a nice throw. Real estate up ahead. And a catch and score. The Gridlock are right back in it. Tied at 1 apiece. Back and forth here in the early going with 10:15 left to play in the first quarter. As we take a look back. It's a nice throw upfield, and that is a score for Captain Kelly Highland.
Yeah, and that was a pretty smooth open look from Emily Barrett. She definitely has eyes on the field and was able to read that and get the disc to her and tie it up.
You mentioned Emily Barrett, the good throw, and it was just a nice heads up, able to read that frisbee as well downfield that really was able to allow that possession to continue to work up. And just like that, the Gridlock tie it up. We're knotted back at 1 apiece with just over 10 minutes left to play here in the opening quarter. They're playing on a turf field. We'll see how slippery that is as this game moves on. Another solid pull. This is Dudley. She's very active in that game against Columbus. Immediately is going to heave it downfield. Good defense was put in there by the Gridlock.
Yeah, and Dudley is definitely one to look for the deep shot when it is open. So smart look there, just wasn't quite ready for it.
Neves. We are seeing a zone being deployed by the red as Gridlock handlers will work it around. Neves has it back. And she slices right through that cup. Kim Mayer. Goes back to Neves. So red move out of that zone. There's some open cutters downfield as Frankel gets open. A backhand throw through some traffic. It's hauled in by Chang. Swung around. Forehand catch, score. The Gridlock maybe go in front. We might have had a call down on the field. It is a self-officiated game. Looked like a pick call. Emma Frankel taps the disc in. Gridlock trying to take their first lead of the day. Frankel dumped it back, tried to cut open. Now just in front of the end zone. Gridlock aren't quite in yet. Back to Neves. And the backhand throw for the score. Gridlock go up 2-1. Emma Frankel with the goal.
Yeah, that was good patience from Gridlock there, countering through the pick call.
Yeah, the pick call earlier, it delays things. As you see, Pepe move it back to Neves. And just a backhand throw. Great delivery, and the Gridlock lead.
Similar end zone set there. Pepe getting that initial cut right at the beginning as she completed both of them, second one being just outside the end zone line, so able to keep the play on and convert that into a score.
So now the Gridlock get a break point, and their offense did a nice job that time breaking through that Red cup. You saw them, as the Red got further back into their own end zone, they get out of that and have to switch up their defense. And, Rochelle, it really seemed like Gridlock was able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, for sure. Gridlock is pretty good at adapting their offense to fit many defensive sets, and that comes from a lot of experienced players on their team. So being able to find where those holes are and examine them and get right through the cup, they were doing a really good job with that and making the right cuts. So expect to see that continue, and we'll see if Red adapts their defensive strategy.
So Dudley has it now. We'll keep an eye on that defensive strategy for the Indy Red, but right now the offense is trying to get some work done. A nice throw upfield. Harrison has it now. She'll survey ahead. Finds a cutter inside. Hernandez swings it out. Dudley chases it down. Quick throw upfield. Nice grab by Rosenthal. And she'll heave it downfield. Gridlock covered up.
Yeah, it was a tough throw into double coverage there. Kelly's usually pretty good about coming down with those, but just with that double coverage, it made it just even so slightly harder.
So deep into their own territory, Gridlock will have the Frisbee. As you see, the Indy Red just try to crowd whoever has the disc. It's the Gridlock advancing. Chang on the far side. Swung around to Kim Mayer. One more time to Neves. Reset on the stall count as it gets up ahead to Frankel. Neves trying to sneak in there for another pass, but instead it goes to the near side.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll see those scuba hammer-esque looks to kind of get over the top of a cup.
I think the Frisbee was stripped out of the hands there of Emma Frankel, so Gridlock will keep. Neves threading the needle. Good opportunity here for the Gridlock. Some give and go action. Was it in for a score? No, Gridlock are just on the outside. Amy Zoe thought she was in. And a cutter pops open, and the Gridlock go up by 2.
It was good field awareness right there. Kind of see her hovering in the back behind some defenders, able to get the opportunity to sneak it through there.
So Gridlock score 3 straight after letting up the first goal. So after the Red got on the board first, it is New York who responds very well.
So about halfway through the first quarter here, get opportunity to see this play here again.
And that's Nikki Hare who winds up getting open and an easy catch. She just finds that space, kind of gets lost in the Red defense, Rochelle.
Yep, there's definitely quite a few defenders that went through there. I think if I was out there, I probably would have not anticipated that throw going off, kind of maybe more of a reset back to the middle to the other sideline. So I think it was a bit surprising, kind of took them off guard. Definitely would have been an opportunity for a block there, but I think it just was a little bit of the thread the needle shock value.
So the Red have given up the last 3 goals in this one. As Foster swinging around, the Red will keep it with their handler so far. 5:45 left to play here in the opening quarter. So Red trail by 2. Julia Hill throws it upfield. A nice catch hauled in by Wyckoff. McClurkin. Good movement here from the Red on this possession as it winds up in the hands of Matamore. She heaves it toward the end zone. Got two Red players there, and it'll be a score for Indy. Gabriella Enders, I believe, came down with it. And the Red are back within one. It's a great throw. We had Enders and Foster there, and Enders sticks the right hand out and hauls it in. That was a great pass there, Rochelle.
Yeah, it was a nice sliding grab. That's typical of something I would do if I was out there. You kind of just go for the falling grab. She could have laid out, but she had it cleanly, so it was nice.
As long as you haul it in, you keep it, you get the score. They all count the same,
That's
right?
all that matters. Didn't take anyone out in the process, didn't injure herself. We're good.
She's got a smile on her face after that one. 5 minutes, 10 seconds, remaining here in the first quarter. 3-2. Red got a break point to open this one. They could use one here to tie it at 3.
Yeah, and that was a good point for Gabriella. She was not here for the first game this morning, so nice for her to get a point early on in this game.
That is some fresh legs that the Red can use to their advantage. New York having to travel a long way for this one. This is their second game today. Second game of the day for both teams. This gets swung out to that far side. Nearly winds up as a turnover. Worked back around. Kaplan dumps it back behind. Tulsa Douglas. Nice forehand upfield into some space for Barrett, who swings it all the way across. New York able to keep the possession alive. Brought back in by Douglas. Working along that sideline, throws around the mark. Quick movement here from New York. And another score for the Gridlock, 4-2.
Gridlock's been doing pretty well with getting a lot of those quick movements, quick looks. Haven't been holding the disc too long, kind of getting it off as soon as they see the open look.
Yeah, that is very good execution by Gridlock. Brittany Kaplan with the goal, 4-2. And yeah, I mean, I felt like that possession, Rochelle, they made things look really easy. It just kind of felt like they knew where everybody was in the field. Clean, smooth passes, nice catches, and it all opens up at the end.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that was a great offensive possession for Gridlock and able to convert easily. And we'll see if Red adapts their defense. I think Gridlock will probably learn the spots and learn the holes fairly quickly here. So we'll see what they do with it.
So New York seems to have figured things out on offense early in this one. 4:19 left to play in the first quarter. New York with the pull. We haven't really seen the wind move the disc too much on these pulls as Steerwalt lets it hit the turf and immediately throws to Dudley. And it's a quick turn. Back on the floor. Gridlock can capitalize. Frankel. Right, do a nice job of getting back defensively, but things open up. Zhao, thrown around. Backhand throw to the end zone. Gridlock score again. It's Kim Mayer able to haul that one in to make it 5-2. And New York with all sorts of momentum here in the first quarter, leading by 3. You see Neves, nice backhand throw. And one thing that New York is doing to be crisp passes. I feel like a lot of them have just been right on target, right where you want to put it. If you're a cutter downfield trying to receive a pass, or if you're a handler on a swing, I feel like New York is just really in a groove, delivering that Frisbee exactly where it needs to go.
Correct. They're doing a really good job of putting the disc to the space and trusting their teammate to get to that space. That was kind of on the last throw we saw right there. That's last swing throw before up, moving into the end zone. She trusted that her teammate was going to get to that spot, and kind of, even though it took her to back up a little bit. But I think it's a sign of a very mature offense to be able to just trust your teammates to get where you put the disc and be able to hold on to it.
That was something we talked about early in the broadcast and the pregames. Just this New York group, very experienced, and right now that is paying off as the Red are going to try to get one back here, trailing by 3 late in the first quarter. PUL winds up going out of play. McClurkin will carry it in to get things started. Gridlock are looking to go 2-0 on a weekend trip out to Central Indiana. It's McClurkin swings it out to Mattimore. Upfield, Foster's there for the nice grab. Foster, the cutter, will be patient. Moves it back into the hands of Mattimore. Quickly worked around. Wyckoff goes back to Mattimore. A little stumble there. She's able to keep her feet. Now McClurkin. Huck downfield. Foster's down there. You got two Red players there again, and it's another score for Indy Red.
Again, something we mentioned last game, me and Charlie, the power is something we should adapt from their volleyball, calling out that you're there so you avoid potential. But Foster was there for the backup, and it was a good look.
It was hauled in by Emily Wyckoff. It was a great forehand throw by Anna McClurkin. The Red are back within two with 2:58 left in the first quarter. It's been no shortage of goals here in the first quarter, I'd say. Both of these offenses are finding a way to get it in the end zone.
Yeah, I think that's the difference, and you can tell how much wind has an effect in games like this.
Yeah.
I think about the beginnings and first quarter of our first two games today is completely different score, and wind really has an impact, and it changes the gameplay completely. And so it's kind of refreshing to see some more points being scored, and I think it's a sign that we're going to have a probably high-scoring game.
I mean, it is fun when teams score. I mean, maybe if you're a big fan of defense, you don't like it, but ultimately it's a good time when you get the hucks downfield, when you got players, skying one another, layout catches, layout Ds, whatever it may be. And so far, things calm down. I mean, if you watched the two streams earlier today, you could see a lot of movement on the Frisbee with some crosswind that we had. If you're able to catch the broadcast last weekend, there were some strong winds that players were throwing into at times, and things have just really opened up here in the late night game to close things out today as the Gridlock try to get their sixth goal here in the opening quarter.
Yeah, so we're seeing here Indy has kind of backed off their zone defense. It's looking more of a person matchup.
New York will try to the end zone again, and nearly a score for the Gridlock, but this will be a chance here for the Red to get a break point, something they haven't done since the opening point of the game. Break point is when you pull, you're able to get a stop on defense and then wind up scoring in the other direction. Those are big momentum swinging points in the game of ultimate, as it's immediately just going to be punted out as the Red were deep into their own territory. So a quick turn, but Indy gives themselves some breathing room.
Classic example of the huck and play D.
It's going to be Makita Mattimore on the mark as the Gridlock tap it back into play. Highland has it now. A nice swing upfield. Kaplan out to the far side. More quick throws from the Gridlock, bobbled, but able to keep the possession going. Now swung back around. Douglas upfield, near side. And another score for New York. That's 6 goals here in the opening quarter. That is Jenny De Jesus, who gets her first of the day. She nearly had one earlier at this point. Was able to get one here. Nice pass delivered in by Sumi Ono.
Yeah, that around break throw was pretty clutch of a look there. So can expect that from this team, that's for sure.
So 6-3 as De Jesus gets her first score of the game. Red trailing with 1:11 left to play here in the first quarter. This is, I'd imagine, the start that the Gridlock really wanted to get out to in this game, really not knowing, how teams were going to be feeling, how fresh they were going to feel out of the weather delay, and this being their second game of the day. But I'd say New York doesn't really look like they've lost much of a step.
Doesn't seem like it. If it's predictor of what our games earlier have been today, the quarters have kind of been back and forth on which team has kind of rode the high end. So it'll be interesting to see if Red can shift anything in the second quarter. But at the rate Gridlock is going, it looks like they will have a pretty solid game ahead of them.
So can Red respond? They quickly work it up. Milton. Nice backhand throw around the mark. Hernandez. On a strike cut. Finds Dudley. So we got a call on the field. Player sorted out. Dudley taps it back in. And she's got a wide open teammate for the score. Red answer right back within 2.
That was some nice patience there from Duds to kind of wait to see the open look. Emily Schloniger comes in.
And Dudley had a great first game today against Columbus. As you mentioned, Schloniger on the receiving end of that one. And just good patience from Dudley there. Waited out on that stall count. You've got 10 seconds to throw the Frisbee. Dudley had a nice strike cut to get upfield as well. And you just see the patience and experience from her to get that throw off. And Schloniger, the awareness to find that space to get open on that near side. And good execution from Red. But the question is can they get break points? How can they manufacture that? 28 seconds left in the first quarter. So if that clock expires, whatever the possession is, we will finish that out, whether it ends in a turn and a score. And then the quarter will draw to a close. So this could be an opportunity. The Red in their game against Columbus, they were able to do that. They were able to force a turnover and then get the last possession of the first quarter that wound up in a score. You'd have to get an early turnover here. Down to 20 seconds.
Looks like Red's bumping back over into their zone.
It almost seems like, watching today, just from the broadcaster's perspective, that Red has just felt more comfortable out in that zone. And as their cup gets broken here, though, as the Gridlock continue to have a good game, the clock expires, so this will be the last possession here of the first quarter. We'll see if New York can get 7 goals here in the opening frame. It's a nice catch is brought in by Highland. Swung around on that far side. Douglas looking around. Finds a teammate out far. As Sieber tries to get herself out of a jam. And we've got a call. Play will stop. Players down on the field, they'll talk it out. The PUL being self-officiated. We've got observers on the field who can help things out. These arguments, or maybe arguments aren't the best way to put it, but any conversation about fouls, picks, travels, we've only got about 10 seconds to decide, all right, which way are we going to go with it? So it gets tapped back into play. Gridlock throw, catch, and score. De Jesus. And that'll do it for the first quarter. 7-4. New York holding steady with a 3-goal lead. As you take a look back at the replay here, as Brittany Kaplan takes her time, finds De Jesus cutting into the end zone. 7-4 Gridlock lead is our broadcast. I want to remind you, one of our partners, Somerset Paving. Somerset Paving is Detroit's expert in asphalt and concrete paving. Somerset Paving, take the right way to quality. Also, Materials Data Management. Thank you to one of our local sponsors, MDMI. Materials Data Management has the experience and drive necessary to help your organization deploy the best in engineering materials information management solutions. Check us out on LinkedIn for our current job openings at our website, materialsdatamanagement.com, for a list of our services and software, data importers, exporters, and consulting too. MDMI is here for you. So, Rochelle, we've got one quarter in the books here. What are some of the things that you've noticed here from either team? We'll start with New York. They're the team that is in the lead, leading by 3 goals. And we've talked about it, but one of the things that's just really stood out to me is how well their offense is moving the disc. And it just seems so effortless. Like, they're an experienced team. It seems like a group that just really came out with the game plan and is executing. Yeah,
they are definitely a very well-oiled machine. Even despite only playing, two games so far this year, definitely a very, very well-oiled machine. They practice well together and are experienced enough. to know and run a smooth offense. And having played against Red before, I think that's part of it too. But they've definitely come out firing, and I think moving off that momentum shift, I think if win turns do happen, I think they're patient in playing defense and getting a block and getting it back and scoring and making very calculated, smooth movements.
And for Indy Red, we've seen them roll out a couple defensive strategies. We've seen a zone. We've seen just kind of more of a player-to-player mark situation. So what do you think the answer is for them defensively? How can they manufacture some stops here against a Gridlock offense that's just really found their rhythm?
Yeah, I think switching up a little bit of what they're doing defensively wise, maybe considering playing person a little bit more often. Indy Red have a lot of really strong, really athletic players that are great at making defensive blocks, and so I think giving them the opportunity to really play person to person and get those opportunities and generating those opportunities, and then if they get them, being patient with the disc and focusing on making smart throws and good throws, and despite the weather, the disc might be wet, and just focusing and keeping a calm head. I mean, they're not out of this game by any means, and there's a lot that can still happen, and so just taking a moment and calming down and just focusing on what they know how to do best.
Looks like we still do have just a few raindrops falling. Imagine the playing surface is still pretty wet with the rain that rolled through here earlier and delayed this game by about an hour and a half. But it is the Indy Red who trail by 3 after the first quarter, as coaches will get their final words in. Just take a look at the rain that's coming down now. It's a great shot of it there. You can also see just a little bit of the wind that's in play here. Not too much. Really the rain, the big factor, just making that disc a little bit more slick. It's just not quite the most comfortable catches. You can see some Gridlock players there, a couple of them electing to wear gloves. Same thing for the Red. This might help you secure the catch a little bit better, get a better grip on the disc. So Red will get the first offensive possession here in the second quarter. So Milton upfield, a great layout grab to keep the possession alive. Dudley gets open, looks upfield, surveys, can't find anybody open. So she swings it back around, and a call on the field. It was swung around to Sydney Oland. She'll tap it back in. Oland looking left, back Dudley's way. She finds her back behind. High in the stall count here for Dudley. And she has to just turn around and heave it upfield. You got a mess of players down there, and the Gridlock come away with it. But a call was made down on the field by the Indy Red. I think it might have been Dudley who made the call, trying to figure out where the conversation is happening. Stall call is what we're thinking is the argument, and it just goes to where it was caught. There's a huck downfield. Goes out of play, or it's actually just not caught, rather. And we will enter another weather delay. As you heard a crack of thunder there. 7-4 as we will delay this one with 10:17 left to play in the second half. We'll be back as soon as we possibly can as we enter yet another weather delay in this game. Don't go anywhere. The stream will still be here. We will step aside here momentarily, but we'll be back as soon as we're able to play this one. Gridlock 7, Red 4 here at the weather delay. 10:17 left in the first half. Weather delay just about expired here as the Red and Gridlock look to get going again. Gridlock with 7 goals to the Reds 4 with 10:17 left to play here in the second quarter. A couple weather delays we've experienced tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox, Rochelle Fresh with me as well here on the call as we try to get things rolling again here as this game goes late into your Saturday night. We appreciate those of you who have stuck with us on the stream. If this game gets to halftime, it will officially count in the PUL. That's the big thing is some storms still roll through. We'll see how those develop. Hopefully everything steers clear and we can get as much of this game going as possible. New York 1-1, trying to get above 500. Red trying to avoid losing 2 straight games as we look to get this game going as the players get warmed up here. And Rochelle, what are just some of the challenges that these players face after a couple lengthy weather delays? Some players going out to the parking lot, having to hop inside their cars. Some players on the Indy Red up here in the press box, just trying to get somewhere away from the Lightning where it's safe. And now they've got to get back out there to game level intensity. So just what are some of the difficulties here, just trying to get ready to go as we've got another lightning flash. We'll check radar, see if it's within the radius as the thunder sounds again. And another weather delay gets announced from the public address system here in Indiana, 7-4, as we go back into another delay. Appreciate your patience with us on the broadcast as the Gridlock lead 7-4. Well, we are going to end the stream on the broadcast. Once again, I'm Harrison Silcox, Rochelle Frash with me. As we close things out here, we appreciate you for joining us. Gridlock leads 7-4. As we've just gotten a little bit too much lightning, but both teams are still going to wait it out, see if they can get the game in. The game in. If it gets to halftime, this game will count in the PUL. So keep an eye on team social medias for updates on that. But as far as the stream goes, we will have to end it here. Appreciate you, those who have stuck with us throughout the night. Once again, I'm Harrison Silcox. Thank you to Rochelle Frash calling the game with me, and then also to the production crew with Universe Point Productions. And again, stay tuned to team social medias for the final in this one if they can close it out. But enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening.
Have a good one.